Well, we do some research here in Newark, and then we do a lot of research down in Georgetown at our other center.
This is Michelle testing my sound.
Yeah, some extension agents do on-farm research.
Good morning, everyone. We'll wait for a few minutes while people get on board. Allison, are you able to hear my sound?
Yep, you sound great.
Thanks. Well, good morning, everyone. I have 9 o'clock on the dot, and we're greeting on a rainy first Friday, and maybe that's good because we have folks who aren't out in the field already, and we have a chance to connect. And so I appreciate everyone being here this morning. I have a couple updates and just things that are going on, make sure that everybody's on board and is aware of, and things for organizationally. And then we're going to switch over and talk about our innovation team and what they're ready to present for some innovation ideas for us as well. So it's been a busy couple weeks. I think, as many of you are aware, we did have Ag Day last Saturday. We had a beautiful day for Ag Day, probably the nicest one in 5 years that we've had for Ag Day. We had great attendance, and I just want to say thanks to Betsy Morris for providing coordination for the Cooperative Extension tent area, and for all of those who came to Newark that day and represented Cooperative Extension, the activities in and around the event. These things are always hard to measure in terms of what impact you're making. Kathleen Splain told me a great story about providing some information to 2 young men who came up to the booth that was about vegetarianism, and overheard the one young man saying afterwards, "That was just what I needed to know. I'm glad I came here today." So it's those kind of comments that really help and make a difference, and you know that we are getting some educational value. I have one thing that generally comes out of Ag Day here, and the Master Gardeners from Newcastle County have a exhibit right outside of Townsend Hall and our door here, and every year I think there's a blue hen. So I just thought I'd show that I have a new blue hen for my office. Here she is. I've had one from the other Master Gardeners, so here's the new blue hen done by the Master Gardener program as a result of Ag Day. So we're perking along here. I'm not sure if I attend too many more Ag Days what I'm going to do with all these blue hens, but anyway, we had those. We had a good professional development day with our support staff on Monday, our administrative assistants. Everyone was attended, and we want to say a special thank you to Sharon Webb and all the support staff at Sussex who hosted us and were very gracious in their hospitality and generousness with a great day, and for the planning committee that put that together. And they focused on a number of professional development topics, and got to see Lasher Lab as well, and appreciate the research and diagnostics that go on there, as well as some training on a number of topics that we thought were important as a leadership team that they focus on, including a few financial things and business operations kinds of things, and then their own professional development. So we're appreciative of all that. And out of that day in my office, so I'm just showing you, since you're not here in my office, all the new things. I think Lisa is the painter of all of these things, and I was seem very fortunate to be a recipient of one of the centerpieces that Lisa made for that, and that appeared on my desk today when I got back. So we're just appreciative of so many people that have done so many things in the past week, and seen many of you at work. And in the midst of all of that, we have started our agronomy search. And I know that many of you were involved at Carvel, and were engaged in those interviews. And we have more to come in the coming week, and then we will also start the entomology interviews. So I know this is a big draw on everyone's time, but it's a few times ever that we get to have this kind of opportunity to hire folks and to have input into what we're doing. And so even if you're not able to attend but want to listen to the seminars, they'll be being provided, and input sheets. And I just want to again thank everyone for getting it set up in such a way that we can have involvement. And I do say for all of our staff, if you're in the area of where the interviews are, just to even just meet and greet the candidate, we want to put our best foot forward and have people know that we're a great family of Extension to come and join, and certainly an outreach of our part, of all of our staff to these candidates, says a whole lot about who we are. So just encourage you to even just stop by and say hello. Even if it's not your area, you're not going to sit through the interviews, but to meet and greet folks and have them know about our Extension program would be great. Also, we'll just let you know that we're also in the search process right now. This is the month of interviews. May is the month of interviews. We're also interviewing currently for the position of our grants manager for Cooperative Extension. This is the Jen Clem position, and we certainly miss her, but we're looking forward to a couple candidates that we'll be interviewing this month. And Doug Kraus is representing us on that search committee, and they're very much in process. And we hope to be able to fill that fairly quickly after we get through this interview process. So there are some of the happenings that are coming on this month, and amidst the normal work and things that you're all about, those things in addition. So I do appreciate the work that you're involved in and your extra involvement in these interviews and other events that are happening this month. I also just want to mention that many of you have known that, seen the message that Kathleen Hemrick has resigned, and she's with us through next week. We've appreciated her work. And one of the last things that she's working on is our impact sheets for this past year. So we have pulled out of those impact sheets 16 of those that we're planning to use and turn into infographics in the next year. We will be creating those into the one-pagers, front and back, with infographic and then the short statement. And we also would like to develop some stories on those as well that are people's personal stories related to those impacts. And developing those stories. So as we go forward with that, some of you will be hearing from Catherine. She is sending email with some questions about clarifying some data that as she has read through all those, and she's trying to edit those and summarize those. And I appreciate her doing that, as she, in her last week or so here, that she's focused on those and getting those ready for us. So if you can respond to her as rapidly as possible on those as we try and move those forward while she's here, I really appreciate that. And I know that she has connected with several of you in that regard. So I think they're the important things that are up and coming organizationally to let you know about. I appreciate you tuning in this morning. And now I'd like to turn this over to Jen Volk, and she's a member of our innovation team. And she and others, and she can talk about this, have been working on a number of things as part of the innovation team, but specifically they've been working on this process to enable us to be innovative. And I'm going to turn it over to Jen to talk about, and then I'll follow up as needed. So Jen, thanks for joining. I know you and Christy have been madly doing some things the last 24 hours, Michelle Walford as well, and I'll turn it over to you to talk about our innovation effort.
Right, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I am back today representing our innovation team and the subset of the team that is helping to plan our annual extension conference along with some of our colleagues from Delaware State University. So last month on the first Friday, we previewed for you our new innovation webpage that Christy has put together for us. And at the very top now this month is a blurb on there about our conference and our first annual Extension Innovation Competition. So there's the link here, and then there's also a thumbtack type of icon over here that you can also click on. So what I want to do today is go through what we've come up with for the proposal for this innovation competition. It's basically a request for proposals from all of you. The rules that we've laid out for how this will work in our first inaugural year. So as you hopefully all know, we talked about it last month, Dr. Jan Seitz endowed some money to the university, and she had specifically mentioned innovation. And so the innovation team had come up with the idea of trying to get those funds out to staff members by having a competition for those funds to see who had the most innovative ideas. And there's been different types of processes like this going on across the nation through efforts with eXtension, and Michelle Wofford's been very involved with that at other institutions, serving as a creative coach and being involved with that. So we've kind of taken what we've learned from some other places, but we've Delawareized it. And so what we're putting forward today are the rules that we hope people will go after this and compete for these funds. So basically teams we'd like to see consist of 3 people. We'd like at least one, a minimum of 3 people, at least one team member from each university, because we do want this to be a collaborative process and not leave DSU out. It's something that they're going to hopefully benefit from whatever this project develops, so it benefits all of Delaware Extension. And cross-programmatic teams will be looked upon favorably. However, if it's something that's specific to FCS or 4-H, that's fine. Please still go forward and enter as a team. We went through kind of some of the ideas last month. These are very general concepts. We don't really want to spoon feed what an idea might be. We don't want to curb anyone's creative thinking. So it might be a new way to use technology, organize your work, deliver content, or new tools, or an idea that you have that you think is an innovative idea. For our teams, these are people that we're hoping on for reaching out to these folks. These are extension professionals. We're going to engage with them. So we're hoping that the teams can meet with these coaches at least twice over Zoom just to check in with them, share the month, get to have speech, that's fine, but you can do really anything that you think would be off at a conference. So quite a few of them will not be present, so that's okay. It'd be great to have as many people as possible, but we know that's not physically going to be possible for some people. So again, the innovation team will work with you to help figure out whatever technology needs you might need to incorporate people or give your pitch. The 2 are going to be short. We don't want them to be throwing out proposals in front of the whole group, so there'll be a strict cutoff, 5 minutes or less. You need to go through what the issue or the challenge you want to address, how different about it, who will the audience is a particular segment of your group or us as extension, and what will the positive result be? What's the impact? We also want to know the timeline for completing the project. We're thinking, these the pitch themselves, this idea will take place within 1 year, but it's something that may then carry on longer than that. And what the budget will be. Do you need the entire 5,000? Is this 5,000 just seed money, and you have ideas for where to get additional funds in the future? So we've also thought about the judging process a little bit. It's going to be a combination of peer voting and input from the panel. So we're thinking that will consist of John Brown from the state, and hopefully could include others as well, maybe some of our creative coaches. And we're going to look for the criteria, like how creative is this? Is it an innovative, potential impact, feasibility of it, and the composition of your team. So something that Michelle had mentioned yesterday as I was proposing even more strict criteria was that she said, we really don't want to scare people away from this. If you have an idea, it's okay if the idea fails. That's part of the innovative process and the process of finding new ways of doing things. So it's okay if you have something and we test it out and we learn it doesn't work. That's something that we've learned, and we can move on from there and tweak that idea and find something that does work the next time. So we're rolling these rules out today. We're hoping that people will jump on this opportunity and basically give us their intention to participate. Christy's created this web form for us, and we're hoping that folks will sign up by Friday, June 16th. That's 1 month, or sorry, 6 weeks from now. So the web form itself looks like this. It is a simple form. We're looking for your name, your email address, and do you already have a team, or are you looking to join a team? If you don't have a team, our group will try to pair you with someone. If you do have a team, maybe come up with a creative name for your team, identify who that captain will be. That's the point person for us to communicate with them. And then let us know who else is on your team right now. And again, this is just your intent to participate. All of this can change as you go through this process. You might identify other people you want to pull in, or someone may say, hey, you know what? I don't have anything to contribute. I need to pull out. That's fine. And again, right now, if you know what kind of issue you want to address and the idea of what your innovation is, please list them here. They are not required fields. You'll notice they don't have the red star. Again, these are things that may change as you go through the process of meeting with your creative coach. So you can be as vague as you need to be, but if you already really have a specific idea that you want to delve into deeper, you can be as detailed as you need as well. So this form is going to be shared with Del State also. So maybe someone from Del State would be the captain and enter that information. We only need, one person if you have an existing team to fill this form out at this point. So that's really all I had to share at this point. I would like to see if there are questions from others. Anybody got questions, ready to go and submit an application to participate?
Any questions for Jen as she's done this? I thank you, Jen, for putting that together, and from the team. We do have, Nancy says it's a great overview, Jen. We were trying to get this together, and the team has done so that you have enough time to be involved and think about this and to start developing ideas and have time to do that, and then to bring this creative coach in who can help you think that through, and that we can have that be a process. So as Jen has said, this is just seed money that we are thankful for from Jan Sites. It allows us to do that. She obviously was a big proponent of, gee, if you need a little money she knows what it's like that we need a little money to do things, and that sometimes that enhances sometimes that seed money that becomes a bigger grant or bigger proposal. Sometimes it's just to try something new so we can develop a concept and what we're doing. So it really is very open. And she designed the endowment in such a way that it's very open. And we really think bringing these creative coaches in will help us get it further. So it's just can be an idea, something you've always wanted to try that you haven't done. And then we'll bring some folks on board who can help think through that and think alternative ways. And this is not a lot of money, but an extension, $5,000 goes a long way in terms of getting things done. And so we're thankful for that dollar amount to be able to get things going. And in a year where there may not be a lot of funds coming forward, here's a great shot of something to support something that you'd like to do. And as Jen said, it's not just technology, but it can be a new process, a new way of doing things, a new way to present programs, just anything that's innovative and new.
Yeah, I think some of the creative coaches, the names that we've been given are people who will show that it's not just tech stuff that you can do, different ways of meeting with your clientele or engaging with them.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to share, remind everyone that our fall conference will be on innovation, and we are bringing in folks from across the country to be a part of that. And this is one of the benefits we have of being a premier member of eXtension, which means that we pay an assessment and we pay a level to be involved in eXtension. But in this case, I'm very thankful because our involvement in eXtension allows us to have this come back, and they're actually doubling what we put into the conference, up to $10,000 in providing that. So that allows us to bring in these people from across the country. Not often we have those kinds of funds for our conference to do those kinds of things, and some of the things that they'll ideas and that they'll bring. So our investment more than paid off in this this case of being able to have that come back. And quite frankly, we're doing something a little different than any of the other states have done and how they've done it. And as I said to Chris Geith, the CEO, yeah, I know this isn't what you've done everywhere else, but run with us here because we're trying to be innovative and make this appropriate for Delaware. And they have. And so we feel really fortunate to have that support at a national level for what we're doing. Jen, do you want to say anything more about other things the innovation team is doing and working on just to more flesh out this idea of innovation?
Well, I know Michelle is on. Maybe she could chime in for some of those things. I know Christy has been working on registration pages for us. This has really been the one area that I've focused on. We've kind of
divided
off into subcommittees. So I'm not sure if I feel most prepared to answer that question.
That's fine. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
That's
Jen.
okay. I do see Maria did ask a question. She asked if team members can be non-extension or from another state. So that's a great question. My feedback is I think that's fine as long as you meet the criteria of having 3 team members, one from UD, one from Del State, and you are doing something that's going to benefit Delaware Extension. So if this is someone who is going to be able to contribute to that innovative idea and something that's going to benefit us in the long run, I don't see why not.
I would support that as well. I think
Michelle and Jen. It's Michelle Walford from New York, piping in. I think the funds can be used for interns. It could be used to fund an intern, or if a part-time person wants to join the team, I think they can. Again,
Michelle Walford from New York.
from New York. From New York.
And you're being Meemaw in New York.
I am.
At least that's the way I interpret how you write that on Facebook.
Yes.
So it looks like you're having some fun with your grandson there. Can you speak to some of the other efforts that the innovation team is taking at the moment?
Well, Jen kind of had it right. We when we formed in the fall, we immediately got the task of doing this extension conference and rolling that over, and it was all consuming for a while, and now we've branched off. So we're going to meet again and look into other innovation things. The registration website is one which didn't roll out as, the software doesn't exist right now with UD framework to do what we really wanted, but we're trying to consolidate the registration page so that on all of our different collateral brochures and materials, there will just be one place to go, UDEL, extension.udel.edu/register. And from that launchpad, everybody can find registration materials. So that'll be helpful for press releases and for brochures. But that's been the only task. We've looked at podcasting, we're looking at other things, but I think this extension conference is sort of monopolized our time. Forward, we're open to any idea anybody might have that we could address.
Well, thanks, Michelle, and the team. You've already been doing great. Conference for that has been huge. Getting this innovation thing, it's all been innovation. So many already, and you've explored this page and run into some things that have to be more innovative to get that done. So as I work with some work teams this week, some national work teams that have been brand new working on this health arena, and I asked them their response about innovation. One of the things is that it takes time, and that one of the things we have to do in our organization is provide time for people to be innovative. And so I know that we're rolling this out today, and people are thinking, when am I going to have time to do that? I'm already full. The schedule's full, and I think you'll have to schedule time to be to allow yourself to be innovative and to get back to that. And that's one of the things that everything that we were reading and learning about that is to allow us to be cutting edge. So we sometimes have to have enough time to think about what that would be and to explore that. And even in your team meetings, if you can just allow some time on an agenda to talk about what innovations you would like to do and how that might come forward, that would be really, really great and really a way to enable this to happen, because that's part of what it takes. And that was really responsive, these recent teams, is the time that it takes. And I want to assure you all that that we know there is involved in anytime you do something new, and that's what we're trying to do here. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and that's okay too. It can be an idea that we just don't know whether or not it will work, and this is to allow us some funds and freedom to be able to test those things without taking a loss in terms of that. So let's not let that be an obstacle to what you're trying to do, and we may learn some things that would make another round make it possible. So I just want to assure you that that's our thinking on this, and it's not about doing something that's going to bring in tons of money the next round, but something that really is something we think we could benefit from, but we need some seed money to get it started. So that's the plan. I want to say thank you to the innovation team. They put a lot of effort into all this. There should be some verbal way to show clapping on on this webinar, and I think it's an exciting opportunity. And so on this rainy Friday, maybe you're planning to be somewhere else and outside, and maybe you have a day to just give 5 minutes, 10 minutes to thinking about innovation, and send somebody an email, give them a phone call, say, hey, what do you think about this? I heard about this, and to not let this fall off the plate. And it'll never get done if we don't be intentional about thinking about it and doing it. I'm going to ask the program leaders also to help lead the teams as a whole to be thinking about this. Not that the team has to have an entry, but just to be encouraging this to happen. Many things you're already thinking about would fit into and apply in this. So, any other questions related to innovation? And let me just say, this is what we have nationally that you have of me. I know I've been in and out of the state quite a bit, and one more trip next week to the Urban Extension Conference, and then I'm back. But are there questions coming up that you have questions about, or any communications that you would like to raise with
I actually listed on the innovation webpage, so it's simple, it's extension.udel.edu/innovate, and at the bottom, team members with people from every area and every county, so you shouldn't have to look too far to find someone.
Great. So any other questions from across the system this morning that I may or may not be able to answer, but I'd entertain in some people's minds? Or are there any other announcements from folks? I know we have a lot going on with all these interviews and other things that are happening. Are there any other announcements from anyone?
This is Amy.
Go ahead, Amy.
So I just sent out an email about lunch with the MS2 agronomy candidates. Just a reminder, I'll stop bugging everybody after today, but if you're interested in joining us for lunch in Newark on Tuesday and Wednesday, I need you to fill the doodle poll out today.
Great, and thanks Amy and Mark Van Gessel for the leadership on this agronomy search. You certainly have made it possible for all of us to be involved, and I really appreciate that, Amy.
Yeah, and I think that Mark sent out the link to the seminar for those of the people who couldn't be there. We had some issues with the recording in Newark yesterday, so luckily the seminar in Georgetown and the seminar in Newark were very similar. So we sent out the link for the one in Georgetown, which has good audio quality.
And who did you send that to, Amy?
I'll double check. Let me double check right now.
Okay. And I'm not sure that I got that email, but would you just forward that to me as well?
I will.
That'd be great.
I'll forward it to the whole group if it didn't go to the whole group.
Okay. And does any, I know the entomology, I don't have the dates coming up in front of me, but I know that's been, although I'm not sure that there's been as much published and said about that. The chair of that's in the department, but it's equally as important and coming up at the end of the month. Anybody have any announcements about that one? And Doug, you're on. Is there anything you want to say about the grant manager position? I'm not sure you're anywhere where you can, where you have a headset on or not. Is there anything for the group to know about that? Not seeing that. I'm not sure he's where he can respond to that. So Doug says interviews are scheduled for next week. So there we go. And we'll let you know how that moves forward. So hopefully with that we can move quickly and by June we have that no headset thing. Okay, this was good enough, Doug. This works. So thank you, and thanks for responding to that. So those interviews will be next week, and I would hope then that by early June we'd have that person on board. And with year end coming. As you know, this grant manager position manages our federal funds that are SIGGRT grant. So they're not, our year end of that is September 30th, but they interact with our state funds. So we're near year end. I would remind you, if you're planning to use your operating funds, now's the time to get those expenditures done. If you haven't fully expended those, they're yours to expend, but we need to know if you're not going to be. If you think you're not, it would be very helpful because we're going to move them somewhere else that we have need for those. But I would encourage you, this is the month of May, we really like to get those done and make sure that they clear on this year's expenses. So we'll probably have a date in the next few weeks by which you need to have those. That comes out from the central office about when we have to have those expenditures done. But just reminding you, if you haven't looked at those operating funds, you should be looking at them, seeing what you have and what you have to spend through June 30th. Again, I will not know what our operating is going to be for next year. I don't have any further information about our state budget at this point in time, and I may not till later. So we'll talk about that later when I have more information to spend. But what we have for this year, we need to spend. There's not really any way to hide it. We just need to spend it and use it. So be thinking about that as we move forward with your operating funds. Okay, not hearing any other questions. Thanks for joining on this rainy Friday. Thanks to the innovation team, and thanks for all the great stuff you guys are doing day to day. There's really a lot happening. Very proud of our team. We had a couple of our folks making presentations at the Health Outreach Conference, which was in beautiful Annapolis this week. And hats off to Nancy and Karen and Sarah as they made presentations at that national conference and Position Delaware. And then a larger team who did submit a proposal for Delaware to be one of the pilot states for the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation effort, and we were one of 26 institutions that are competing for 5 spots there. So thanks to the folks who put that together, and we'll wait and see how that goes forward as well. So lots of good things going on. Thanks to everyone for your efforts, and we'll be in touch for the next First Friday. Thanks, everyone.